On June 17, 2019, at 1:35 a.m., 23-year-old University of Utah student MacKenzie Lueck stepped off a plane at Salt Lake City International Airport. She had just returned from California, where she attended her grandmother's funeral. She was grieving. She was exhausted. She texted her parents to say she had landed safely. Then she pulled out her phone and ordered a Lyft, but she was not going home. Around 2:40 a.m., she had the driver take her to a park. Hatch Park, North Salt Lake. She told the driver she was meeting a friend there. Just before 3 a.m., the Lyft driver dropped her off. He watched as MacKenzie put her bags into a waiting car, a dark-colored vehicle. Then MacKenzie Lueck was gone. Moments later, her phone was powered off. It never turned back on again.
Last time we heard from her, she got off the plane coming back from LA. It was 1 a.m. She was going to grab an Uber and go home, but that's the last I've heard from her.
So 1 a.m. this morning?
No, 1 a.m. Monday morning. So we've been trying to get a hold of her all week. Usually it's unlike her to return a call, but it goes straight to voicemail.
For 11 days, her family, her sorority sisters, her university, and an entire city searched for her. And the whole time, the man who had been waiting for her in that park was giving police interviews, offering up his passwords, acting helpful, acting innocent.
I have security camera in front of the house, and then I have one inside the house. So I go through the whole video camera. Actually, so that's my baby. Remember, she was with me on that day. Okay. So according to the video, she was with me. So we were gone, and that was June 16th.
Okay.
Well, I was going to bring the whole hard drive of the whole security camera, but my lawyer told me that because you mentioned that the IP and everything, that I should hold back.
Okay.
And she asked me to be careful what I share with you, because she said it doesn't make sense for my IP to be showing.
MacKenzie Speth Lueck was born on March 8, 1996, and grew up in El Segundo, a small, close-knit coastal city in Los Angeles County, just south of LAX. She grew up with one older brother and two younger brothers, the only girl in a house full of boys. Those who knew her described her as tough, independent, outgoing, the kind of person who walked into a room and immediately made everyone feel at ease. She was a strong athlete who swam and played water polo at El Segundo High School. She graduated and headed north to the University of Utah, a long way from the beach, where she majored in kinesiology and pre-nursing. She was a member of Alpha Chi Omega sorority. She worked part-time at PRA Health Sciences, a lab in Salt Lake City. She was advising with counselors about going to nursing or medical school. She was supposed to graduate in May 2020. Like a lot of college students, especially those living alone, far from home, managing tuition and rent, MacKenzie was navigating a financial reality that most people don't talk about openly. She had joined a platform called Seeking Arrangement, a dating app that describes itself as a way for wealthy sugar daddies to meet sugar babies, women who receive financial support in exchange for companionship. MacKenzie was open about it with people she trusted. She had at least 2 such arrangements at the time. It was on Seeking Arrangement that she first encountered the man who would kill her. His name was Ayoola Ajayi, and by the time MacKenzie realized what kind of man he really was, it was already too late. On the surface, Ayoola Ajayi looked like exactly the kind of man the app was designed for. Born in Nigeria in 1988, he came to the United States on a student visa and later became a legal permanent resident. He had studied computer science at Utah State University, worked in information technology, and briefly served in the Army National Guard. He was 31 years old, financially stable, presentable. He looked like a successful man, but underneath that surface was a history that should have disqualified him from ever being near another woman again. In 2014, a sexual assault allegation was reported against him by a co-worker at a financial company in Logan, Utah. She told police the contact began consensually, but when she wanted to stop, he refused. The alleged victim did not pursue charges. The case went nowhere. In March 2018, just over a year before he killed MacKenzie, Ajayi invited a woman he had met on a dating app to his home for dinner. While they watched television, he attacked her, pinned her down, bit her at least 3 times, leaving bruising and bite marks. His ex-wife also reported to police that he slashed her with a knife and threatened to have her kidnapped.
I was trying to get out the window. We was at his friend's house, and he closed the window down, and I jumped through the window, and he had a butcher knife, was trying to stab me with the knife. I was trying to grab the knife out his hand because he was trying to stab me in my hand, but I had tried to grab the knife out his hand, and it couldn't. I had all these cuts.
In April 2019, just 2 months before MacKenzie died, a contractor told police that Ajayi had approached him about building something unusual at his home. A secret room, soundproofed, hidden under the front porch, with head-height hooks on the wall, and a fingerprint scanner for entry.
The first request was him wanting I've done secret doors before where it's like a bookshelf that you pop and it opens and it goes into like a kid's playroom or a bedroom or a closet, and that's what he was wanting, was a secret door. It started with that, and then he slowly started sidestepping into more stuff, like wanting a thumb lock on it with a fingerprint lock, and soundproofing it, and putting hooks in the concrete, up at like 7 feet. Like it was just weird what he was asking me.
He was already planning something far darker. And in 2018, the same year he attacked that woman in his home, Ayoola Ajayi created a profile on seeking arrangement. That is where he found MacKenzie Lueck. MacKenzie had been in El Segundo for her grandmother's funeral. She was flying back to Salt Lake City, returning to her apartment, her classes, and her normal life. What investigators would later piece together is that in the days before her return, she and Ajayi had been texting. They had agreed to meet up once she got back to Utah. Here is what MacKenzie did not know. Ajayi had already decided she was going to die. Before he left his house that night, he turned off the video recording on his home security system. He did not want any footage of her entering his home. He drove to Hatch Park and waited. MacKenzie's Lyft pulled up just before 3 a.m. She got out, told the driver she was meeting a friend, and got into a car waiting in the dark. They drove to Ajayi's home in the Fair Park neighborhood of Salt Lake City. Once inside, he tied her hands behind her back with zip ties and rope. She told him to stop. He didn't. He began choking her. When she struggled, he wrapped a belt around her neck, pushed her onto her stomach, and strangled her to death. What Ayoola Ajayi did next tells you everything you need to know about what kind of man he was. He burned MacKenzie's body in his backyard, pouring gasoline on the fire to keep it going. He did this on the morning of June 17th, then again on June 18th. That same morning, just 6 hours after picking her up from the park, he drove to a nearby Smith's grocery store and bought a gas can, filled it with gasoline, drove back home. The fire burned for 2 days. Neighbors noticed. They described a horrible smell, unlike anything they had ever smelled before, but nobody called police.
The smell of gas was outrageous. And I thought maybe I was in my bedroom and I smelled it through my window, and I thought maybe it was my motorhome. And so I came outside to make sure, and there's this smell in the air that was just almost rancid. It was just really disgusting smelling.
Later, when investigators executed a search warrant, they found charred personal items belonging to MacKenzie, along with fragments of her remains in the backyard in a nearby alleyway.
The search warrant resulted in the findings of a fresh dig area on his property, which is the same area that the arrested person was reported burning something. A forensic excavation of the burn area was conducted, which resulted in the finding of several charred items that were consistent with personal items of MacKenzie Lueck. Other charred material was located, which has now been determined to be female human tissue.
MacKenzie's father, Gregory, called police on June 20th, 3 days after she disappeared. No one had heard from her. Her phone was still dark. Something was deeply wrong. For 8 days after she was reported missing, the search consumed Salt Lake City. Her face was on flyers, on news broadcasts, on social media. Her sorority sisters held a vigil. Strangers showed up to search. Investigators traced the last phone number MacKenzie had been communicating with through a Text Me app back to Ajayi. But then investigators found that both MacKenzie and Ajayi had profiles on seeking arrangement. And surveillance footage from Hatch Park showed Ajayi's car leaving the area moments after MacKenzie's Lyft dropped her off. On June 26th, 9 days after the disappearance, police executed a search warrant on Ajayi's property. The man renting his basement Airbnb told police he had seen Ajayi burning what he described as pallets and a white door behind the garage. A certified cadaver dog was brought in. Almost immediately, it alerted on a disturbed area in the backyard. They found charred human tissue. They found MacKenzie's burned belongings. DNA confirmed what they already feared.
Now, we know it was in the backyard of this home where police say neighbors witnessed Ajayi burning something on June 17th and 18th. Police confirming charred female tissue and some of MacKenzie's personal items were located in that area. Just after the suspect was arrested, Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill on what comes next.
These are allegations that my office is going to now. We've been working with LE and law enforcement, Salt Lake City PD. We will go through our formal screening process within the next 72 hours or so, and we will go through that process. That presumption of innocence applies here within this legal process, and then we will be making our final decisions as to what particular specific charges as we continue to sift through the volume of evidence that we have.
On June 28, 2019, Ayoola Ajayi was arrested by a SWAT team at 9:20 a.m. outside a Salt Lake City apartment complex at gunpoint. He was charged with aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, obstruction of justice, and desecration of a human body. MacKenzie's actual remains were found 6 days later, July 3rd, in a shallow grave in Logan Canyon about 85 miles north of Salt Lake City. On October 7, 2020, more than a year after MacKenzie's death, Ayoola Ajayi stood in a Salt Lake City courtroom and pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and desecration of a human body in MacKenzie's case. He also pleaded guilty to forcible sexual abuse in the separate 2018 attack on another woman. In exchange, prosecutors dropped the charges of aggravated kidnapping and obstruction of justice. His own defense attorney confirmed in court what investigators had long believed, that Ajayi had decided to murder MacKenzie before the meeting at Hatch Park even took place.
Yes, we have learned some new details. One of those new details is that Ajayi admitted that apparently before the two even met up, he was planning to kill her. We've also learned a lot more about how Lueck was killed.
In exchange for his guilty plea, prosecutors agreed not to seek the death penalty. As part of the deal, 19 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor images found on his devices were dismissed as part of the agreement. At his sentencing hearing on October 23, 2020, Ajayi addressed MacKenzie's parents directly. Mr. and Mrs. Lueck, I am sorry for what I did. I deserve what I am going to get. I know this will not bring her back. MacKenzie's father, Gregory, stood up in that same courtroom. He told Ajayi he had no compassion for him because Ajayi had shown no compassion for his daughter, and that he hoped Ajayi spends the rest of his life in prison looking over his shoulder. Ayoola Ajayi was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He is currently incarcerated at the Utah State Prison.